If you're getting breadcrumbed, here are 7 self-respecting things that you can say. Hey, I'm Jack. I'm going to help you in this territory. Let's get right into it. So the first thing that you can say is, I notice this dynamic feels inconsistent to me. I'm not looking for something inconsistent, so I'm out. Right. Notice this isn't blaming. It's noticing that there's a property of the dynamic, and that property of the dynamic doesn't work for you, right? That consistency is important. So you're going to cease being part of the dynamic. Now, if the guy is really into it, he could say, oh gosh, I actually think there's something to pursue here. I'm sorry. I've fallen asleep at the wheel. Let me prove that I can be consistent. Now, chances are he probably won't, right? Just probabilistically. It might be that he's not yet willing to let you go. That's his business, right? You can absolutely decide to be out of the dynamic. You could be open to saying, okay, well, let's see. But just go in with sobriety. That typically I've seen when it's a guy has to respond to stepping up to a woman's request to, generally I don't see that work, right? Generally it's better if it's an intrinsic, already there, authentic desire on his behalf. Or what I've seen is, even if that eventually works out, it's a dynamic in the relationship that most of you, particularly if you have a more feminine essence where you want the guy to bring a minimum effective dose of leadership to the dynamic, it's not the dynamic that works for you. So generally, you can name the inconsistency and say you're out. Second thing, if you're in breadcrumbing and you want to say something that's self-respecting, but you do want to make a communication. And by the way, this comes up where people say to me, well, look, he's kind of dropped off. I don't want to just ghost him because I'm not a ghoster. So I want to say something, but I don't really know what to say. And so what I'm trying to orient you towards here is something that's real for you, but is also succinct, right? And you don't have to do my words absolutely, word for word, verbatim. You find your way with it, but you'll get the sort of the essence of the transmission, and you can find an authentic way to communicate that for yourself. And if you're listening to this and you're noticing, you know what, I like your words, and you've actually been held up on this, just use my words. There's plenty of spaces in your life for the most, rich and authentic communication. When it comes to breadcrumbing and the essence is ending the dynamic, it's more about ending the dynamic than saying the exact right thing. So bias to action. If you have been stuck, let's have you take some action. You can literally just, rerun the video and take the words down verbatim. Here's the second thing that you could say. I think I've made up a story that this could be going somewhere. I'm seeing things more clearly now, and I don't believe it is. Let me know if you disagree. So this is you, again, naming how you see the dynamic. It's including like, oh, hey, I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. I thought there was something here, and actually now seeing it clearly, I don't think there is. So there's some honesty about it. But you're also you're checking out the assumptions. So you're saying to him, let me know if you disagree, right? Like if there's something that I'm really seeing wrong, or there's something that I've missed, or there's some other hidden piece of information that has had you be really unavailable this week or last week, or then he gets a chance to push back. But you're taking your ownership of the situation and how you're seeing it. Third thing, I release you from any and all obligations to connect with me, and I do the same for myself. I release you from any and all obligations for connecting with me, and I do the same for myself. So here you haven't really said what the issue is. It's more that you're kind of declaring the end. So this is also something that you could use in combination with another sentence that I've given you, or something that you want to create yourself. But it's actually making clear there's no obligation here in the future. So it doesn't mean that he can't text you. If you don't want him to text you, you can make that as a specific request. Hey, I please request that you don't text me. You can make it even a stronger request. Hey, I request you don't text me, and if you do, know that I won't reply. You could go even stronger. Hey, I request you don't text me. Even if you do, I won't reply. And if you do, I'll actually block you, right? So you have those, but we try to, in military speak, we try to fire our small guns first, right? So we don't need to actually go in with the never contact me, and if you ever do, I won't reply. Unless there's some really good reason for that, or safety reason for it. But it's your opportunity to basically say, I'm releasing. And therefore, you may not ever hear from me. I don't have an obligation to be in touch. I don't have an obligation to reply to your text, to debrief you, or to do anything. Now, you can always say, hey, it'd be meaningful for me to have a 15-minute coffee just so I can get your experience. But the likelihood is if he's been breadcrumbing you, he's not that curious about your experience, let's be honest. All right, here's number 4. I'm not a casual kind of girl or woman. I don't need to be super serious, but I do need to see the sober potential of something that could become serious. And this ain't that, right? So the essence of this is you're saying, look, I'm actually looking for something that's more serious. Don't need to be super serious day one, but relationships are going in a direction, or connections are going in a direction. So, if you want casual, and I actually see this, people put this in their dating profiles, right? They're like, not into one night stands or not into casual, no judgment, right? So you do you. Like, if you want something casual, you have a right to your casual, but find someone to be casual who wants to be casual. I ain't a casual kind of woman. Do you get the essence of that? So again, this is all about you claiming what's true for you and not having to make him wrong. But also it's trying to bring a clarity to it, right? The reason that we want to do this in one or just a few short sentences is we don't typically need a whole debrief, particularly if this hasn't even gotten to the point where we've hung out a bunch or it's been some kind of real connection. But typically, the more you get into the detail of it, I often find people lose the potency of what they're actually trying to transmit. And sometimes the transmission can be quite simple at its heart, right? I'm not casual, I want consistent. This is casual and this is inconsistent. Ergo, therefore, it doesn't work for me. All right, what do we got? Number 5. This one's a little bit more playful. I'm curious if this level of investment has landed you a girlfriend in the past. Right? Now, again, you don't have to say that from a really harsh judgmental place. You can just own that from let's be a little bit cheeky with him, right? He's not really investing, but he sort of seems to be talking like he could want something, or that maybe he's looking for a girlfriend, or maybe I've made clear to him that I'm looking for a boyfriend or more. And so just kind of curious, like, is this how he normally shows up? Or is he might say, well, actually, I had something serious until 3 months ago, and then, I got burnt. And so, I'm being super casual. Maybe you'll learn something that you don't know, right? That's the advantage of staying in your curiosity, but also you're being a little bit cheeky with him. Don't be afraid to be cheeky with him, right? I often say this, permission to upset men. Not that that's your explicit and purpose, but if that is a secondary effect of you being real, or you saying it as it is, I think that's okay. I don't think you need to treat men like they are only fragile, right? Of course, men have fragilities and vulnerabilities. We all do. But if a guy wants to go out in the dating marketplace, he's going to get some bruised ego. He's going to get some times where he's into you and you're not into him. He's going to make some faux pas. It's part of the territory. He's going to get outcompeted sometimes, right? Like, maybe there's a guy that's just better aligned with you, or there's a guy that's more successful or more attractive or meets your needs in a different way, right? That's all going to be part of the experience. So I think guys grow by hearing what's true for you. And if you can do that in a non-judgmental and compassionate way, great. Sometimes that's not available because, you feel a little pissed, or you feel a little judgy. Okay, do the best that you can. Sometimes what you can do is that you can write it out, get the judgment out, and then you can edit it afterwards, right? So sometimes it's good, particularly if saying these kind of things is difficult for you, get a first draft, sleep on it, review it, tidy it up. If there's a more, clean or compassionate way of saying it, say it. But the main thing is that you do say something, right? We don't want you going around and multiple edits on this. We don't want you having to spend, days and days and days. He's not showing you that level of care. And at the end of the day, the main transmission, as I say, is typically the same thing. Excuse me. All right, in at number 6. I notice your level of attention to our connection has dropped. That's allowed. You do you, but there's a minimum investment I need to keep showing up. So unless that changes, I won't be expecting either of us to show up here. It's pretty clear. Now, you could name explicitly what your level of minimum investment is, right? Like, I need to see someone a minimum of 2 nights a week, or we need to have, plans for every weekend, or maybe it's 3 times a week, whatever feels right for you. And maybe you say, well, I don't know, are my expectations, are they unreal? I would say for most people, if they're going from just a few casual days to something that's got more consistency, it's probably going to be somewhere between 1 and 3 times a week that they connect. So if you're within that range, you're probably within the reference range of what is, quote, normal for other people. But again, permission to do you. But probably if you're getting breadcrumbed, we're not even in, you might be saying, Jack, once a week would be great. This is not even close to that, right? So the downside of mentioning explicitly is it can sometimes kind of challenge the guy to meet the minimum and sort of say, hey, look, I can meet your minimum, but he's not that invested, or he's not doing it sort of from his own heart, right? He's doing it because you've said it, right? Which, back to my previous point, sometimes sets up the dynamic you don't want. So if he's really been breadcrumbing you, I don't know that you need to mention it explicitly. He can ask and you can share with him, but I would probably just keep it as a minimum investment, because unless he's really out to lunch, he probably knows that he's not making it the minimum investment that would keep you interested in a real relationship with him. He probably knows that, right? So let's presume that he's not out to lunch. Although many of us are out to lunch all the time. Jeez, I've been out to lunch half my life. And I don't mean the nice kind. I don't mean I'm splurging on like high-end lunches. Come on. Number 7, I'm redirecting my attention to connections which feel more aligned for me, but I sincerely wish you all the best. Now, I like this, I sincerely wish you all the best. You know, if it's not true for you at all, don't put it. If it's at least partially true, risk including it. Because there's, you know, we want to put that energy out into the world where we can, right? This is not aligned. So again, we're trying to make discernment, not judgment. Discernment, this doesn't align with me, but I wish you all the best, right? You seem like a nice guy, or you've got something interesting about you, or I hope you get what you're looking for, right? You hope you get the casual connection, or I hope you maybe find someone that you don't feel casual about, right? Because sometimes, bluntly, that's also true. The guy's casual about you, but he's not casual about someone else. Just like you might meet a guy that you feel casual about, and you might meet another guy that you feel serious about, right? We don't get to choose these things always. Sometimes it's just in the mystery of the universe. It's just in the realities of the likely dynamics that exist between two people. So, there's 7 things that you can say. As a bonus, I want to remind you, you've got permission for it to not feel comfortable. Right? If this were easy, you would probably already have sent this kind of text. So take this as a path of development, right? Get support if you need it. Err on the side of simplicity. You could literally just copy something verbatim from what I've said. You can text, you can write something, sleep on it, tidy it up, but bias towards getting it sent. This is the issue that I see with women I've supported in this space, is the thing stays on their phone or on their hard drive, but it doesn't actually get communicated, right? I would much rather you said less, but communicated something, than tried to say more and get stuck on it, right? So in one sentence, you can basically say, this feels casual and I'm not interested in casual. You can even caveat by saying, at the risk of being blunt, right? Or at the risk of cutting to the chase. So acknowledging, like, I'm kind of going from the bottom line here. This is particularly good for you if you tend to not be this kind of communicator, right? If that energy tends to feel too direct to you, it can sometimes be good to lean into it, right? From an Enneagram perspective, it's like we're leaning into our 8 energy, right? Where we bring the truth to people in a direct and confrontational fashion. You don't have to be confrontational, but it's saying if you tend to, if you would, write a 12-sentence text and the guy's sort of like, I don't even know what she's talking about, that's not a good text in this situation, right? The 1, 2, or 3 sentences that gets to the heart of it. We were here, we're now here. That's not good for me. That's not aligned with me. Notice this language. It's not aligned with me. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not my desire. It's not resonating with me. This is all what? It's subjective language. It keeps you in the I. It's not over there with him. It keeps you over here with you. Staying rooted in your own desire. Permission to upset him. It's okay. He doesn't have to like it. Why would a guy like it? Why would a guy like that you don't want a connection with him that's casual, right? He likes having a casual connection with you. That's why he has it. If he didn't like texting you, or if he didn't like breadcrumbing you, or if he didn't like being casual with you, he wouldn't be being it. So he's going to lose a little thing in this, but we're not really doing it for that. We're doing it because it's not what you want, right? And do you have a right to what you want? Do you have a right to want what you want? Do you have a right to go after and see if the universe can meet you in what you want? If you let this guy go, there's no guarantees. The next person might also be someone that wants casual with you. Okay. The point is your discernment, right? You can taste many things. What we don't want you to do is to be losing months of your life to something that is a cameo, right? It's a cameo role in your play of your life. It's a non-starter. It's not really going somewhere. So keep it in the I. I want, I'm looking for, I'm waiting for, I know what I want, or I'm resonating with, and where possible, try to be discerning and not judgmental, right? Discernment is what's right for me. Judgment is making someone wrong. You don't need to make him wrong. A guy has a right to send a minimal text. You have a right to say, I don't need to keep receiving them, right? That's what this is all about. So if you are curious about a guy, not sure if he's investing, click the first link beneath this video, run him through the 9 steps of the guy checklist. It will help you know if he's investing. If you would like to be part of this community, let's have you subscribe. I release videos every week on these kind of topics, personal growth, self-improvement, self-development. I would love to have you with us. And if you can, just give this video a like. It helps me get the word out in the algorithm. Now, if you've liked this video, then check out this other video here, because we go into other dimensions of being breadcrumbed, and we don't want you to get a PhD in breadcrumbing. We want you to get the download so that you can move on in your life. So click that video, check it out, you'll like it. And as always, I'm Jack. Thanks for being here.